Picture this. You're 20,000 years ago. It's been raining for 6 days straight. No phone, no lights, no Netflix. Just you, your family, and the sound of water hitting rock. What do?
Here's the thing. You already know what this feels like. That restless, climbing the walls energy on a rainy day when your plans get canceled. That's not new. That's ancient. And what our ancestors did with that exact same feeling didn't just pass the time.
First, the practical answer. Ancient humans weren't helpless against weather. They were engineers. Tailored animal hide clothing, fire, and shelter meant rain itself wasn't usually the killer. The real danger was what rain brought with it. Cold, wet clothing, hypothermia, and critically, being trapped. Caves were the original waiting room. Deep enough to block wind and rain, but close enough to the entrance to keep an eye on the storm. And once you're in that shelter, fire burning, rain hammering outside for the 3rd day in a row, survival is handled. Now you've got a different problem.
Boredom. Restlessness. People packed shoulder to shoulder with nothing to do and nowhere to go. This is where it gets interesting. Because what humans do with forced stillness is where psychology actually enters the story. Modern psychology has a name for what happens to humans stuck in small spaces for long stretches. It shows up in submarine crews, polar researchers, even astronauts.
Tension rises, tempers shorten. The brain starts hunting for anything to occupy itself. Our ancestors had the exact same wiring. A brain built to scan for threats and opportunities doesn't just switch off because it's raining. It still wants stimulation. It still wants a job to do. So what's the most available, zero-cost form of stimulation when you're sitting in the dark with other people? Talking, telling, performing. This is very likely where storytelling stops being a luxury and starts being survival. Researchers studying cave art have noticed something strange. The animals are painted with incredible anatomical precision, muscles, motion, detail, but the humans in the same paintings are often faceless, simplified, almost like stick figures standing in for a person, not a specific person. That's a clue. Some researchers have noted this stark contrast between detailed animal figures and faceless human figures in cave art, and one theory is that these weren't portraits. They were narrative devices, symbols in a story being told out loud using the wall as a visual aid.
Cognitive scientists studying this connect it to something called mental time travel, the ability to mentally leave the present moment and imagine a different time entirely. Researchers argue this capacity to recall the past and imagine the future is deeply tied to why humans began telling stories in the first place, because a story lets you transport an entire group of people somewhere else without anyone moving an inch. Trapped by rain, with nowhere to physically go, ancient humans learned they could still go somewhere. Just not with their bodies, with their minds. This wasn't just entertainment, it was social glue. Researchers connect storytelling to theory of mind, our ability to understand what other people are thinking and feeling. The theory suggests storytelling let humans pass down lived experience to others, while letting the listener separate someone else's past from their own and treat it as a lesson for their own future. Translation? A rainy week trapped in a cave wasn't just downtime. It was the original classroom. Elders telling younger members which plants were poisonous, which animals were dangerous, which mistakes got someone killed last winter, encoded into stories so they'd actually stick. This lines up with one of the oldest known narrative artworks ever discovered, a cave mural in Indonesia depicting what looks like a hunting scene playing out across multiple panels, like a comic strip, dated to over 44,000 years old. Boredom didn't just get filled, it got engineered into culture. Fast forward past the caves, and you see this pattern everywhere. Civilizations forced indoors or made vulnerable by extended rain didn't just complain about it, they built entire belief systems around it. Storm gods, flood myths, rain dances meant to either summon or stop the water. Why? Because uncertainty is psychologically unbearable. When you can't control the weather, your brain looks for something to control. A ritual, a story, an explanation, even a fictional one. It's the same instinct that makes you check the weather app 5 times before a storm today. You're not getting new information. You're managing anxiety. The cave and the smartphone are doing the same psychological job, turning helplessness into a sense of control.
The cave and the smartphone are doing the same psychological job, turning helplessness into a sense of control. So next time you're stuck inside for days with nothing to do and that restless, crawling the walls feeling kicks in, know that you're not broken and you're not bored by accident. You're running ancient software. The same discomfort that made a human 20,000 years ago start telling stories by firelight is the exact same discomfort making you reach for your phone right now. The tools changed, the brain didn't.
If this kind of why do we actually do this psychology is your thing, hit subscribe. I'm breaking down the hidden ancient roots of modern behavior every week. And drop a comment. What's the weirdest thing you do when you're stuck inside for days? I read every one.